Tom wiped the sweat from his forehead and leaned over the cracked armor plate. Sparks danced around his fingers as he carefully adjusted the energy grid beneath the metal. It was colliery, armor-strong, elegant, and different from anything humans used. He had seen enough of it in the past few months to know it well. Still, every piece had its secrets. The repair bay on the Joint Fleet Station was quiet tonight. Only the soft hum of machines and the slow breathing of the armor's owner filled the room. Princess Elra of the Kalari Empire sat silently on the bench, across from Tom. Her tall frame was still, her head slightly lowered. Her dark blue skin reflected the soft lights of the bay. There was something strange in her posture, something heavy. Tom didn't speak. It wasn't his place to talk. He was just a human technician. She was a royal warrior from a proud alien race, but he noticed her. Fingers were curled tight, her shoulders were stiff, and when he looked up for just a second, he saw the faint shimmer of a tear sliding down her cheek. She quickly turned her face away. Tom quickly looked back at the armor, pretending he hadn't seen. For a minute, neither said anything. Then softly he spoke. The core stabilizer was nearly burned through. Did you take a direct hit? There was no answer. He looked up again. She was wiping her face, trying to be silent. She wasn't loud. She wasn't shaking, but she was crying. Princess Elra, crying Tom. Set down his tool and slowly walked to the other side of the bay. Not too close. Just enough so she knew he was there if she wanted to talk. You don't have to say anything, he said gently. But if it helps, I can listen. Elra kept her eyes on the floor. Her voice was quiet, almost too soft for him to hear. It was supposed to be a simple mission, a scout run. But they were waiting for us. The Ziari. She nodded. They ambushed us in the asteroid field, my brother. No, he was leading the squad. Tom's stomach dropped. I'd heard about the casualties, but he didn't know who was among them. I tried to shield him. She whispered, but the blast hit his fighter directly. I watched it break apart. Her hand tightened into a fist. I was strong enough to survive, but not strong enough to save him. Tom didn't have an answer. He didn't offer empty words. Instead, he just sat on the floor beside the wall and looked at the same floor she was staring at. My sister would have said something smart here, he said after a moment. She always had the right words when I lost someone. I don't. Elra looked up slightly. Her violet eyes met his for the first time. She would have said, Tom continued, you did what you could. That guilt means you cared. But it also means you have to keep going for him. A long silence filled the bay. Then Elra took a deep breath. You are different from the other humans I've met. Tom gave a small smile. I get that a lot.
Usually.
After they've yelled at me about ship repairs. She let out a small breath that almost sounded like a laugh. Just for a second, Tom stood up and walked back to the armor. This piece, he said, tapping the shoulder plate, saved your life. It took the full force of a plasma round. Elra stepped forward, more curious now. I didn't even feel it. I was focused on returning fire. Well, it cracked the energy net. If you had taken one more hit like that, he shook his head, you'd be in the med bay, not here. Elra looked at the armor. And you. Fix it, just like that? He shrugged. I've seen worse. This suit wants to live, just like you. She nodded slowly. Then, after a moment of thought, she sat beside the armor and picked up one of the small tools. Teach me. Tom raised an eyebrow. You want to learn repairs? I want to understand what keeps me alive. No, and I don't want to sit and do nothing anymore. Tom handed her a scanner. My name is Elra, she said quietly. Tom smiled. Then let's start, Elra. Together they began working on the armor, piece by piece, layer by layer, in silence at first, then with short words. The hum of tools filled the bay again. But this time it wasn't just work, it was the start of something new. The repair bay was quiet again, but this time it felt different. Eller sat cross-legged beside the armor, holding a scanner in her hand. Her movements were stiff, unsure, but her eyes were focused. Tom watched her scan the cracked energy lines and nodded slowly. You're getting the hang of it, he said. Elra glanced at him. It's harder than I thought. Kalari warriors are trained to fight, not fix things. Tom smiled. Same with human soldiers. But I wasn't always a technician. I used to be in the field too, until I took shrapnel to the spine. After that, fixing armor became safer than wearing it. Elra looked at him carefully. You still work like a warrior with focus. Tom shrugged. Or maybe I just like fixing things that are broken. Her gaze lingered on him for a moment before she returned to the scanner. The silence between them was not cold now. It was calm. She traced her fingers along the edge of the armor. The deep gash near the chest plate still hadn't been patched. This one, she said quietly, came from the same blast that killed my brother. Tom stopped his tool and looked up. I saw the plasma bolt hit his ship, Elra continued. Her voice was steady now, but distant, like she was speaking. From somewhere far away, I screamed his name on the comms, but there was no reply. It's just static. Tom didn't interrupt. He simply waited. I remember the moment his life signal disappeared from my HUD, she said. It was like someone turned off a star. Dad walked over and sat across from her again, just like before. You said you tried to shield him? I did. I turned my fighter. I pushed energy into my own armor to cover his flank. But I was too far. She closed her eyes. I'm strong. I trained harder than anyone in my class. I've fought in more battles than half the generals. But all my strength couldn't stop. One blast. 1 second. One mistake. Her voice cracked just a little. Tom took a breath and leaned back against the wall. Can I tell you something I've never said out loud? Elra opened her eyes and nodded. My best friend died on Titans. Moon, Tom said. We were part of a scout team. Thought the place was empty. But we were wrong. There were mines under the Isold, forgotten tech from another war. One went off under his boots. I watched it happen. Elra said nothing, but her eyes softened. Blamed myself for months, Tom said. Still do sometimes. I was the one leading that mission. I told him it was safe. He looked at the armor again. But if I let that guilt eat me alive, then I lose to people, him and myself. Elra studied his face. She didn't say she understood, but something in her expression changed. She no longer looked like a princess, trying to hide tears. She looked like a soldier, facing her ghosts. You're not just a technician, she said quietly. You carry battle scars too. Tom gave a half smile. We all do. It's just not always on the outside. A chime broke the moment. Mira, Tom's AI assistant, spoke through his wrist device. New system orders received, she said. Fleet Command requests armor check-ins before deployment tomorrow. Priority level 2. Tom tapped the device. Copy that, Mira. Stood, lifting the nearly repaired armor. I'll take this to the command hangar. Tom blinked. Wait, Princess. It's not fully reinforced yet. The energy lines still need to stabilize. You wear that tomorrow? It might short out. She paused. Then come with me. Finish it there. Tom looked surprised. To the command hangar? They don't usually want humans poking around royal tech. I'm the one giving the order, she said firmly. And right now, I trust you more than some of my own mechanics. Tom hesitated, then nodded. All right, but if someone throws me out the airlock, I'm blaming you. I'll stop them, Elra said, then added probably. They both smiled just a little as they walked toward the exit, side by side. Tom noticed the difference. When she first entered the bay, Elra looked like a shattered blade. Now she walked with purpose again, not because she had healed, but because she wasn't hiding anymore. "Hey, Elra," Tom said softly as they entered the lift. "Yes. When this war ends, what will you do?" She looked at him, her voice. "Com. That depends. Will humans still be here? Helping fix armor?" Tom laughed. "If we're lucky." The lift doors closed, and the hum of the engine carried them upward. Outside the station, stars blinked gently, like silent watchers. A human technician and an alien princess, both scarred, both tired, were beginning to understand one truth: the strongest warriors aren't the ones who never cry. They're the ones who keep standing after they do. The command hangar was full of noise voices, shouting orders, ships being refueled, and metal footsteps echoing across the floor. Engineers moved in teams, checking weapon systems and armor suits for the next day's mission. It was a place built for preparation, but something in the air didn't feel right. Tom followed Elra through the hangar, keeping his tool bag close. He noticed small things more than usual. A group of Kalari engineers argued in low voices near the coolant station. A human officer checked a terminal twice, frowning at the results. Near the fuel storage, a blinking warning light had been ignored. "Something was wrong," Elra, Tom said quietly. "Have there been system errors lately?" She paused. "What kind of errors? Is anything strange? Weapon delays? Engine malfunctions? Power shifts?" She thought for a second. "A fighter crashed 2 days ago when its guidance system failed, and power cells overheated yesterday. We thought it was damage from battle." Tom looked serious, or someone is making it look that way. They reached her armored suit and set it on the stand for final work. Tom began linking the stabilizer unit and adjusting the inner mesh. Mira's voice came through his wrist. "Tom," she said, while scanning hangar frequencies, "I detected irregular access logs in the fleet's main system. Someone has been opening files without proper clearance." Tom glanced at Elra. "Mira found something. Someone is digging into secure data." Elra narrowed her eyes. "You think someone is?" "Sabotaging the Alliance." "I don't know yet," Tom said. "But if we don't find out soon, tomorrow's mission could go badly." She nodded. "Do what you need. I'll cover for you if anyone asks." Tom gave a quick salute with his tool. "Yes, Princess." She gave him a small look. Elra smiled. "Yes, Elra." Tom moved toward a side terminal near the back wall. It wasn't heavily guarded, just a backup system for armor diagnostics. But with Mira's help, it could reach the ship's logs. "Mira, start tracing the access logs," he whispered. "Already running," Mira replied, searching recent file activity. Tom kept his hands busy on the terminal while pretending to adjust some schematics. Data scrolled across the small screen in front of him. Then Mira spoke again. "Tom, I found something strange. A Kalari ID accessed human weapon data. And shortly after, a human ID opened Kalari shield codes." "That doesn't happen," Tom muttered. "Not without permission from both sides." Mira paused. "Gets worse. The same 2 IDs were used to create false reports claiming system failures during training drills. It's not damage. It's planned." Tom's face grew serious. "Who's behind it?" "I can't tell yet," Mira replied. "But whoever it is, they're trying to make both sides think the other can't be trusted." Tom turned to Elra, who had silently stepped beside him. "You were right," he said. "Someone wants to break the Alliance from the inside." "Why?" she asked. He shrugged. "Maybe they fear what humans and Kalari can become if we work together." Before Elra could answer, a deep voice echoed behind them. "What are you doing near restricted terminals, human?" Tom turned and saw General Brunel Ra's commanding officer standing a few steps away, tall and strong in his dark battle armor. His eyes were fixed on Tom with suspicion. "I was checking diagnostics," Tom replied calmly. "Nothing more." Braun stepped closer. "You are not cleared for system access here." "Elra, explain this." Elra stood tall. "I asked him to help. Finish my armor. I trust him." "That's dangerous," Braun growled. "Trust is how alliances fall. You're a princess, not a fool." Elra's voice became cold. "He is not the enemy, General." "Not yet," Braun said, turning his eyes back to Tom. But I've seen what humans do when power is in their hands. Tom didn't respond. There was no point in arguing now. Braun walked away, leaving a cloud of silence behind him. Elra looked at Tom. He hates your kind. He only accepted this alliance because the High Council ordered it. Tom sighed. I've seen that before. Fear disguised as pride. Elra turned back to the armor. Finish the last link. I'll protect you. From him? You shouldn't have to, Tom said. But I will, she replied. They returned to the suit. Tom finished repairing the damaged stabilizers and reconnected the shield ports. He added a small diagnostic chip. Mira gave him something that would alert them if the suit was tampered with again. As he tightened the final bolt, he looked up. Tomorrow's mission due? You know where it is? A relay station near the outer moons, Elra said. It's supposed to be empty. A cleanup mission. Tom frowned. Too simple. After all this sabotage, it could be a trap. The voice was steady. Then we'll be ready. They finished the work. The station lights dimmed for evening cycle. The hangar quieted as teams returned to their quarters. But Tom and Elra stayed for a moment longer, standing beside the armor. Side by side, Tom broke the silence. You know, I thought I'd just be fixing things out here. I didn't expect to get involved in anything bigger. Elra gave a soft nod, and I thought I'd be fighting alone forever. He looked at her. You're not alone now. She turned to him. Neither are you? Outside the hangar walls, stars began to shine through the glass. Somewhere in the shadows, someone was trying to destroy everything the Alliance had built. But in this quiet corner of the galaxy, two unlikely allies had just taken the first step to stop them. Together, the next morning the station buzzed with tension. Ships were lined up in the hangar, engines humming and ready. Teams moved fast. No one talked much. Everyone felt the pressure of the coming mission. Tom stood near the edge of the hangar, watching the Kalari warriors prepare. His tools hung by his side, but his mind wasn't on repairs anymore. Lara approached him fully. Suited in her repaired armor, the blue and silver plating gleamed in the lights, but her face looked sharper, more serious. You were right, she said. This mission isn't what it seems. Tom raised an eyebrow. What did you find? She leaned in close. The original target, the relay station, isn't just empty. It was decommissioned 2 years ago. No reason for us to be sent there. Now, and there are no official mission files in the Kalari system? Tom frowned. So someone's using a fake mission order. Elra nodded. General Braun is leading the strike. Ignored my questions. Tom crossed his arms. We need proof. If we say something without evidence, no one will listen. I know where to find it, Elra said quietly. But we have to move fast. The station's command deck was restricted. Only high-ranking officers and Kalari nobles could enter. But Elra had access and she was willing to take the risk. How Tom found himself walking behind her through dim corridors, heart-pounding. He kept his head down and stayed close. Elra used her security badge at a sealed door. The panel flashed green, and the door opened with a hiss. Inside was a small room filled with glowing screens and data terminals.
Oh.
Elra walked straight to the center console. This is where mission files are stored before launch, she whispered. Help me search. Tom stepped beside her, fingers moving fast. Mira connected through his wristband and began scanning, searching hidden logs. Decrypting, 45% complete, Myra said. A door slid open behind them. Both froze. A Kalari officer stepped in, young, sharp-eyed, holding a tablet. He looked confused when he saw Tom. You're not allowed here. Before Elra could speak, Tom stepped forward. There's a coolant leak in the outer deck. Elra called me to run checks on the system. The officer narrowed his eyes. I didn't hear about that. Elra spoke firmly. It's under my command. Return to your post. The officer hesitated, then saluted and stepped out. Tom let out a breath. That was close, Mira. He asked, finished. She said, found a hidden order. Mission route leads to an old Kalari research post. It's known to be in Ziara-controlled space. It's a trap. Tom stared at the screen. Someone wants to send Braun and the others straight into an ambush. Elra's jaw tightened. They'll be destroyed. Humans will be blamed for giving false intel. Tom copied the files onto a data chip. We have to show this to command. But as they turned to leave, Mira spoke again. Wait. One more alert security breach near fuel bay. An explosion just triggered fire alarms. Elro's eyes widened. They're trying to erase evidence and stop us. We need to go. Ow. They ran down the corridors, alarms flashing red around them. Security bots rolled past, heading to the explosion site. No one noticed them slipping away through maintenance routes. Tom knew the layout of the station well. He had worked in almost every section. He led Elra through a hidden passage between the power grid and coolant systems. The air was warm and tight, but they moved fast. Once we reach the lower deck, we can access a comm unit, Tom said. It connects to the central human command. But Braun will try to block the signal, Elra warned. Tom gave a small grin. That's why we'll send it through Myra first. They climbed down a service ladder, landing in a quiet hallway. No guards, no alarms. Just silence. Tom tapped on the wall panel and unlocked a maintenance hatch. Inside was a dusty room with old screens and a working transmitter. Elra handed him the chip. Send everything. Mira began uploading, but then footsteps. Outside, loud, heavy Elra pulled her plasma blade. Tom stayed still. The door opened. A tall shadow entered. General Braun. He stepped in slowly, eyes on Elra. You've gone too far, he said coldly. You broke trust. Stole from your own people. Elra stood firm. You led us into a trap. I follow orders, Braun replied. From those who understand the truth, the Kalari don't need humans. This alliance makes us weak. Forward, and how many will die because of that belief? Braun didn't look at him. You don't belong here, human. Elra's voice was sharp. He belongs more than you. You saved me while you sent us to die. Braun drew his weapon. You're a traitor to your bloodline. Elra stood ready. No, I'm protecting what matters. Before Braun could fire, the room flickered. Mira's voice came loud and clear. Upload complete. Message delivered to Joint Command. Braun froze. Tom looked at him calmly. It's over. Braun growled, then backed away slowly. This isn't the end. The old ways will return. He left. Elra exhaled, her blade still glowing. Tom looked at her. You okay? She nodded. Let's make sure they hear the truth. Sighed. Sirens echoed across the station. The trap had been exposed, but the real battle was just beginning. The station was no longer calm. Security alerts filled the hallways. Armed guards moved quickly. Officers barked orders as messages passed through both the human and Kalari fleets. Word of the false mission had reached the highest level of command. Tom and Elra walked side by side, heading toward the central council chamber. They were surrounded by tension. On one side, human soldiers stared at them with caution. On the other, Kalari warriors kept their hands near their weapons. No one knew who to trust now. Elra's voice was steady. The file we sent. It was accepted. But some still doubt us. Tom nodded. That's normal. Truth takes time. Lies move faster. As they approached the large chamber doors, Mira's voice spoke quietly through Tom's wrist device. Tom, the council is gathering, both human. And Kalari leaders are present, but General Braun is already inside. Tom looked at Elra. He won't go down quietly. I don't expect him to, she replied, but I will speak. Inside the chamber, a large circular table stood at the center. Round it sat 6 figures, 3 human admirals and 3 Kalari generals. Few aides stood in the corners, watching everything closely. General Braun stood near the front, speaking. To the council, the so-called evidence was faked, Braun said. It's a trick by those who fear Kalari's strength. One of the human admirals frowned. Then why were our weapon systems hacked? Why were mission orders sent from a hidden channel? Braun kept his voice calm. I do not control every signal. Perhaps it was the work of rebels. Elra stepped forward. Enough, she said. Her voice firm and royal. The room went quiet. Elra moved to the center, her armor shining under the lights. I accessed the mission logs myself. I saw the false data. I watched Braun send our soldiers into a trap. I saw a brave human stand beside me when even my own people would not. Braun's eyes narrowed. You shame your name, Elra. No, she said. I honor my brother's memory by speaking truth. Tom walked to her side and placed the data chip on the table. This chip has everything, he said. Logs, timestamps, hidden codes. Cross-check it with your systems. See, it came from inside this fleet. One of the Kaleri generals took the chip and inserted it into a projector. Data flickered in the air: mission paths, access IDs, message trails. One by one, the council members began to see the truth. Braun's face grew dark. Why? One human admiral asked. Why would you do this? Braun did not answer. His silence said enough. Elra stepped forward. He fears alliance. He believes Kalari should stand alone. Isolation is weakness. A Kalari general stood. General Braun, you are relieved of duty. Guards, before he could finish, Braun pulled a small device from his belt. The lights flickered. A loud explosion echoed from somewhere deep in the station. Tom grabbed Elra's arm. He triggered something. Braun shouted, You think the war is over? It has only begun. He threw a smoke device and rushed toward the exit. Chaos erupted. Elra and Tom followed him. They chased him through the hallways, past startled crew and flashing red lights. Braun moved fast, heading toward the hangar. He's going for a ship, Tom shouted. He can't be allowed to escape. Elra replied as they reached the hangar doors. They opened to reveal Braun climbing into a sleek Kaleri scout craft. Its engines were already charging. Tom ran to a nearby console and slammed his hand on the control panel. Marash shut down launch systems. Trying, she said. But he's overriding the system manually. Elra drew her blade and sprinted across the floor. The ship rose slightly from the ground. Elra jumped hand, slammed her blade into the engine panel. Sparks flew. The ship dropped back down with a thud. Braun stumbled out, pulling a weapon. He fired. The blast missed Tom by inches. Elra charged forward. Braun swung at her, but she blocked with her armored forearm. The two Kalari warriors clashed in the center of the hangar. Tom rushed to shut off the ship completely, keeping the hangar sealed. Elra fought with control and focus. Braun was strong, but his rage made him sloppy. You could have led with honor, she said between strikes, but you chose hate, Braun growled. You were weak the moment you trusted a human. With one sharp move, Elra knocked his weapon from his hand and pinned him to the floor with her blade. Tom ran to her side. Guards arrived seconds later and pulled Braun away. The hangar went quiet. Ela turned to Tom. Her breathing was heavy, but her eyes were calm. It's done, she said. No, Tom replied. It's just beginning. Later, back in the quiet of the repair bay, Tom sat on a bench, checking the burns on his jacket. Elra sat across from him, holding her helmet. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For bringing you into this, she said. You were supposed to fix armor, not chase traitors. Idon smiled. I don't mind. I gotta chase one with you. She looked down at her armor. My brother died. I thought I had no one left. But today, I didn't feel alone. Tom looked at her for a long moment. You're not, she met his gaze. In that quiet moment, something passed between them. Trust, respect, and something deeper. Neither said out loud. Outside, the stars moved slowly. The war wasn't over. But the truth had been spoken, and a new path had begun. Together. The calm after Braun's arrest didn't last long. The very next day, a coded message came from a patrol ship near the outer system. The Ziari fleet was moving fast and in full force. They had intercepted Braun's final transmission and were now using it to justify an attack. They think we're divided, said Admiral Clark, a human leader. They believe this is their chance to break. Both our fleets. Princess Elra stood in front of the war tables staring at the incoming routes. If they reach Station K9, they'll cut off all communication with our outer colonies. Tom stood beside her, arms crossed. That station isn't well defended. We have to stop them before they get there. A Kalari commander spoke. Fleets are still recovering. We can't send the full force. Elra's voice was clear and firm. Then we lead with what we have. There was silence in the room. Admiral Clark looked at Tom. You still have your old armor? Tom nodded. It's dusty, but it still fits. Hours later, in the weapons prep room, Tom stood before his armor suit. It was a human combat model older than the ones soldiers used now, but it had saved his life more than once. Elra entered, her own armor fully powered and repaired. You're really going to fight? She asked. Tom looked at her. You thought I'd sit this one out? She gave a small smile. I was hoping you wouldn't. He stepped into the armor. Myra's voice came to life in his helmet. Suit systems online. Old but functional. Back, Tom. Elra watched him adjust the chest plate. Your suit has more scratches than mine. Everyone has a story, he replied. Then he held out a small device. This is a dual-link signal chip. If we go in together, it keeps our comms and tracking syncs no matter what happens. She took it and locked it into her shoulder. Panel, armor of trust, she said quietly. Tom nodded. Let's earn it. Human Kalari strike team launched 2 hours later in silence. A small fleet of cruisers and fighters moved through deep space, heading toward the relay zone near Station K-9. The Ziari were already there. Their ships were sharp, dark, and filled the stars like a swarm of knives. We're outnumbered, Mira said, but not outmatched. Inside his cockpit, Tom checked weapons and engine power. His heart pounded, but not from fear. He was ready. Strike Team Elra's voice came through the comm, steady and strong. Stay close. Their front line hit the command ship directly. Tom flew beside her, his ship just behind her lead fighter. Following your lead, Princess? Name's Elra, remember? She replied. Right, just had to say it once before battle. The two shared a quick laugh, then the battlefield lit up. Plasma blasts cut through space. Fighters spun and turned, dodging attacks while sending their own fire back. The Ziari were fast, but the human and Kalari pilots flew with purpose. This wasn't just another mission. This was about everything they had fought for together. Elra. Tom called, I see the command ship, sending coordinates. On my way, she replied. As the two flew in, a huge Zyar ship turned to block their path. It fired a heavy beam that knocked out a Kalari cruiser nearby. We can't go through it, Tom said. Then we go inside it, Elra replied. What? She flew straight toward the enemy ship, looking for the service port near the underbelly. Mira. Tom said, Can you override that hatch? Working on it, Mira responded. Got it. Door unlocked for 5 seconds. The hatch slid open. Eler flew her fighter into the belly of the enemy ship. Tom followed close behind. Inside was dark and tight, full of pipes, sparks, and metal heat. They landed in a narrow dock. Let's move fast, Elra said, jumping out of her fighter. Tom followed. They ran down a corridor lit with red lights. Enemy footsteps echoed ahead. Elra drew her plasma blade. Tom raised his rifle. The two fought through the hall, working together, covering each other, step by step. At last, they reached the main power core. This is it, Mira said. Destroy. This and their command ship will lose shield control. Tom placed charges near the glowing tubes. Cover me. Elra blocked the hallway, pushing back enemy guards with quick strikes. Just as Tom finished placing the final charge, a blast hit the wall beside him. It was thrown back, his armor sparking. Tom.
Oh.
Shouted, rushing to him. He coughed. I'm fine. Just a little dizzy. She pulled him up and helped him toward the exit. I can't run, he said. My legs hit. She didn't hesitate. She lifted him over her shoulder. I said we go together, she whispered. Tom smiled weakly. Guess this is what teamwork really means, Mira's voice called out. 30 seconds until detonation. They ran back to the hangar. Tom's fighter was damaged. Elra loaded him into hers. You sure this thing can carry both of us? he asked. "Don't worry." "It's strong," she replied. Locking the cockpit, they blasted out of the enemy's ship just as it exploded behind them, fire and light chasing them into open space. Outside, the Ziari fleet saw their command ship collapse. Cheers erupted through the fleet combs. The Alliance had won the battle. Back at the station, Tom sat on the medbay bed. His leg was bandaged, and Mira had shut down his armor for repairs. Eeler stood beside him, arms crossed. "Next time," she said, "try not to get shot." "Next time, don't let me carry all the charges." They laughed. Then she grew quiet. "You could have died," she said. "So could you?" he replied. She looked at him with soft eyes. "You never backed away, not even when things got hard," he shrugged. "You never gave up on me either." A long pause then. Elra spoke. "You know, I had never told anyone this, but if I ever had to choose someone to fight beside me again," Tom finished her sentence, "you'd choose me?" She nodded. The stars outside shimmered through the station's window, and inside, two warriors, once strangers now, stood side by side, no longer broken, no longer alone. The war had changed everything. The false mission, the sabotage, the battle with the Zirai, all of it had tested the limits of trust between humans and the Kaleri Empire. But it had also shown the strength of an alliance born not from orders or politics, but from shared courage and respect. Tom stood on the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. The deep black sky was dotted with distant lightships, and planet sand beyond that, mysteries waiting to be explored. ELRA approached quietly, her armor polished and ready, but her expression softer than before. "You look like you're thinking about leaving," she said. Tom turned, smiling. "Maybe I am. This place, it's not home, but the people here. They've become family." Elra nodded. "I know the feeling. Never wanted to be a princess. I just wanted to fight for my people. And now?" She looked out at the stars. Beside him, "Now I want to build a future. For my people and for yours." Tom glanced at her. "We've come a long way since the first day I fixed your armor." Elra smiled, then grew serious. "That day, I was broken, inside and out. You helped fix more than my suit. You helped fix my spirit." He laughed softly. "Didn't know fixing spirits was part of the job description. It should be." They stood side by side, silent for a moment. Then Elra reached out and touched his hand, a small gesture. But full of meaning, Tom looked down at their hands, then into her eyes. "It's done," she whispered. "The war, the fear, the doubt. It's done." Tom squeezed her hand. "Together." A call came through the station comes. "Elra, Tom, your presence is requested in the council chamber. There's news from the outer colonies." Exchanged a glance and nodded. The council chamber was filled with a new energy hope. Leaders from both fleets stood together, sharing plans for rebuilding and exploration. The war was over, but the real challenge had only begun. Elra and Tom stood before the group. "The outer colonies have sent word," Elra said. "The Ziari have withdrawn. The space lanes are opening again." Tom added, "We have a chance to unite not just to fleets, but many worlds. To share knowledge, culture, and peace." A human admiral stepped forward. "With your help, this alliance will grow stronger." Kaleri General nodded. "The future belongs to those who fight for it." Tom looked at Elra. "We started this. Together, let's keep going." Elra smiled. "Together." Later, in the quiet of the repair bay, Tom removed his helmet. His armor lay open on the table, shining but still marked by battle. Eelra watched him. "What now?" Tom looked around the Batha place where they first met. "I fix armor," he said simply. "But I also fix people. Maybe not with tools, but with trust." Elra sat beside him. "You're a good man, Tom," he smiled. "And you're a brave leader." She reached out again and took his hand. "Let's see where this journey takes us," she said. Outside, the stars twinkled up. Reminder that even in the darkest space, light could be found. Together, they would face whatever came next. The end.